Peter Falk is Mikey.
I got a terrific suggestion for you, Nicky. I suggest you find somebody you can trust.
John Cassavetes is Nicky.
They're gonna kill me, Nick. They're gonna kill me.
Mikey and Nicky. On a night like this, there are no rules.
You give me that in 30 seconds, you hear me, or I'll kill you. I'm gonna die. You're not gonna die. What do you think they're planning? To shoot you in a movie house?
It's rare for a movie to shake up my top 10 film rankings. I'd say it happens maybe once every few years, and even then, it's usually a film that barely cracks the last few spots. At one point, number 9 was City of God, directed by Fernando Meirelles and Katia Lund. Until a second viewing of Fritz Lang's Metropolis pushed it out. I think that was back in 2019. The next shift came when Dune Part 1 premiered, instantly becoming my 7th favorite film. That bumped Throne of Blood to number 8, Fantastic Planet to number 9, and Metropolis to 10, officially knocking Buster Keaton's The General off the list entirely. And 4 years would go by before my rankings changed again. And when they did, it happened twice in a single month. The first film to break into my all-time favorites was Peter Hyam's Busting, starring Elliot Gould and Robert Blake. Then just 2 weeks later, I watched a film that not only made my top 10, but climbed straight into my top 5. And that's the film we're talking about today, which is Elaine May's Mikey and Nicky. I debated whether to even bring this up because Quentin Tarantino already covered it in his commentary, and the Criterion Collection's special features go into it in detail, which, by the way, if you can get a copy of your DVD from the Criterion Collection, assuming it is part of the Criterion Collection, I highly suggest you do it. It's got all sorts of unique bonus features that you won't find in another DVD copy. Everything is so specifically curated, and everything is just very well thought out in a Criterion Collection DVD copy. So, highly encourage that. There's a bit of information that I initially wasn't going to bring up, but Quentin Tarantino covered it. The Criterion Collection special features go into it in detail. But after seeing how many people online get this wrong, I suddenly felt obligated to just sort of help set the record straight, which is Mikey and Nicky was not improvised by Cassavetes and Falk. For some reason, younger audiences seem convinced that Elaine May gave them like a rough outline and then let them riff their way through the movie. And that just could not be further from the truth, okay? There is not a single line, not one, where these actors are making up their lines on the spot. I've read the script. Every single word spoken by John and Peter is in Elaine's screenplay. And the reason it feels improvised is because May is a master of timing and pacing and character work, and Cassavetes and Falk knew their lines so freaking well that their performances just feel effortless. They give some of the best performances of all of the 70s. And that alone, that by itself made the film one of my favorites. So if some pretentious film student who watched 10 minutes of The Godfather before switching to Captain Deadpool Brave New Morbius tries to tell you Mikey and Nicky is improvised, send them my way. Elaine May's writing does something truly remarkable. She manipulates the audience's perception of the characters with just absolute precision. In a specific way that only a female writer-director of her caliber could pull off. At the start, Nicky is paranoid, convinced the mob put a hit out on him, and frankly, he's a bit annoying in the first 5-10 minutes. And Mikey comes across as patient, understanding, compliant, and you like him for that. You sympathize with Mikey. He's the reasonable one. You like him, and he's nice. He's nice to his friend. Then later in the film, maybe 30 minutes into it, with one cut, just a single edit, you suddenly hate Mikey. And you feel sorry for Nicky. Like it completely flips on its head. When the film cuts from the hitman's apartment to Mikey on the other end of the line, I literally had to double take. I almost couldn't process what I just saw. And for the next 10 minutes after that, I'm still trying to wrap my head around it. Couldn't believe it. But the film doesn't stop there. It keeps turning on you over and over again. As the story unfolds, and you're realizing, you're actually starting to see that, oh yeah, Mikey is actually working for the hitman, and he's setting up his lifelong friend to get killed. When you actually believe that, and you're hating Mikey and you're feeling sorry for Nicky, then you start seeing Nicky for who he really is. And he's a terrible friend. He's a terrible husband, a terrible father. He's a racist. He's a sexist, toxic, unfaithful, careless. I mean, he's just, the dude is a complete and utter asshole. All right? He has little regard for other people's property, and he's constantly belittling Mikey. I mean, he's making fun of his son, and he's making fun of him, and he's just this insufferable character that you just can't stand. That by the time the hitman's car rounds the corner and Nicky is banging on the door of his house, of Mikey's house, begging for help, you almost want Nicky to... Actually, no. You don't just almost want him to die. You literally want Nicky to die. Just like Mikey does. By that point, Mikey wants him dead, you want him dead, and Elaine May wants you to want him dead. And then he does. And just as you start to feel satisfied, you see the look on Mikey's face. And you remember they were best friends once. And suddenly you feel awful. And then the movie ends. Hope you're satisfied.
Mikey and Nicky.
I'm really getting the treatment tonight. Tonight's my night.
On a night like this, there is no trust.
They're gonna kill me. Honey, I'm serious now.
Well, I'm not interested.
I'm coming with you.
There is no time.
I know it for a fact they're gonna kill me. You are not.
One aspect of Mikey and Nicky I didn't fully appreciate until my second watch, after reading the script, is the complexity of Mikey's character specifically. There's a scene where he and Nicky visit Nicky's mother's grave. They have this sort of existential conversation about the afterlife, and Mikey claims he doesn't believe in anything. For all intents and purposes, he's an atheist, while Nicky sort of believes that something comes after death. He's just not sure what. Then, when they actually get to Nicky's mom's grave, Mikey starts reciting the Kaddish, revealing his Jewish background. And you can tell he's actually taking it quite seriously. He's struggling to remember, and he's fighting. Like, he's literally, like, rubbing his head, and he's in deep thought, trying to remember the Kaddish, and he's taking it very seriously, and he's very respectful. And in the meantime, of course, Nicky is interrupting him, and he's literally mocking his mother's grave. He's mocking his friend's ritual. And you just see how much Mikey actually respects the religious practice. I just found that very interesting. And there's another moment on the bus. Mikey gives Nicky $200 for some old debt. They don't really get into what the debt was. He just owed him $200, and he opens up his wallet and offers to pay him the $200, knowing that Nicky won't be alive long enough to use it. And that moment seems insignificant until the final scene, where Mickey is talking to his wife about his late brother Izzy. You find out his younger brother Izzy, when they were kids, passed away out of some sickness, and during that time, their father gave Izzy a watch, which was like sort of an heirloom type of thing. And he gave him this watch knowing he'd die of this illness very soon. And then the watch would eventually go to Mikey. You realize after that, it actually clicks in your head that Mikey does the exact same thing with Nicky, with the $200. In fact, he not only does that with the $200, there's a point in the film where he literally gives Nicky his watch. It is a chilling parallel. And then there's Mikey's marriage. Now, the film, I mean, in its entirety, is full of fascinating relationship dynamics, but Mikey's is especially telling. So, Nicky's wife knows everything about Mikey and Nicky working for the mob. She's in on all of it. But on the other hand, Mikey's wife doesn't know anything. And there's actually a point where Mikey even calls out Nicky, and he says, "I don't treat my wife the way you do. If I know I'm going to be late, I call." And yet, within 30 minutes, he's making a pass on another woman. And Peter Falk plays Mikey with such depth that the character just feels so completely real. So much so that, I mean, you almost don't blame people for thinking he's improvising the whole time. I mean, when you have the grandpa from The Princess Bride playing a gangster, you can't, I mean, you're in for a very naturalistic performance. There's one last detail in the film that really just made me hate Nicky even more than I already did. This was after my latest rewatch while I'm reading the script and I watched the film. There's a moment where Mikey calls his friend Nicky out for always making fun of him. And he says that Nicky calls him the Echo because he repeats things and he's got a tunnel in his head. But if you listen closely, and you can see it on the page when you read the script, the only character in the entire film who repeats himself is Nicky. And in one of his final moments, I mean, he's begging Mikey's wife to let him in her house. And he's literally repeating her name. Annie, 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 Annie. It is such a small, perfect detail that highlights how layered and real Elaine May's writing is. And it just truly encapsulates the kind of person that Nicky is, and the kind of person that Mikey is. If there's one major takeaway from Mikey and Nicky, it's this: contradictions and character parallels make your story feel real. Elaine May doesn't just tell you a story. She builds an experience where you don't just watch the characters, you become them. One moment, you're Nicky and you're rooting for him and you're seeing everything through his eyes and you're nervous. The next moment, you're Mikey and you are chomping at the bit for Nicky to get a bullet to the back. And that's why Mikey and Nicky isn't just in my top 10, it's in my top 5.
On a night like this, there is no choice. Peter Falk, John Cassavetes, Mikey and Nicky. Written and directed by Elaine May.
Ma, if anything happens to me, Mikey did it.